Hi, my name is Stephanie and I'm a fan of all things related to music, movies and pop culture. I also have a massive physical media collection, and today I wanted to talk about some female friendship movies in my collection that mean a lot to me. For this selection, I've decided to choose just 5 movies and I've chosen them to be from different decades. So the first movie I've chosen is Frances Ha, which is directed by Noah Baumbach and it is written by Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, and it stars Greta Gerwig. And this is just in general one of my favorite movies of all time. This is like a special edition version that I have. I have like a normal version as well. But this movie is one that I think should be like required viewing for especially women in their 20s. It is about this 27-year-old woman, Frances, who wants to be a dancer and is pursuing that, and she's a bit all over the place. She's got her best friend, Sophie, and Sophie's life is taking her in one path and Frances is going this way, and they're both trying to navigate their lives as well as remaining friends as they grow and I guess figure out their lives. To me, there are just so many aspects of this movie that are perfect for it. I think that the whole like mumblecore element and like subgenre works perfectly in this film, and visually it being black and white makes this film so timeless. Like the fact that this movie was released in like 2012 kind of baffles me, because it just feels like it should slot in with those movies from like the 60s. Again, this is one of those movies where the soundtrack and the needle drops are perfection. On this soundtrack, there are songs by Paul McCartney, there's Modern Love by David Bowie is there. Even the instrumental pieces are just so stunning. The fact that I don't own like this soundtrack in some capacity is just like not okay. It's something that's like been on my like list of things to get for like years, and I plan on holding it in my hands one day just because it is needed. I also think that there's certain qualities to this character which are just so important to see in cinema, because there are quotes in this film like when Greta Gerwig says as Frances, like, I don't think I'm like a real person yet, and all of these feelings and all of these ideas and notions that come with, I guess, figuring out yourself. I think that it's so crucial that that is seen on screen, and every time I watch this movie it has made me feel better about myself and about friendships. And it's just one of those movies that when you see it, and if you see it at the right time, it kind of like captures you. I think also once you see this movie, it makes you feel better about having like messy situations in your life, because it's like life is just like a movie and you can just like make it work. Sometimes funny things happen or like weird things happen, and if you just pretend you're in this movie, then you can romanticize it a little bit more. But yeah, I highly recommend this movie for literally anyone, but especially like women in their 20s. Seeing this movie is genuinely a life-changing thing, or at least it was for me. Now, movie number 2 is from the 2000s. This movie is Uptown Girls, and it was released in 2003. It stars Brittany Murphy and Dakota Fanning, and it's one that's probably like a bit of a different choice if we're talking about like female friendship movies, just because like there is obviously like a big age gap and there's like a bit of a different situation happening here. But for me, I treat this movie as one about, again, like finding connection, and they are ultimately, I would say, friends despite this situation. So long story short, this movie, it's about Brittany Murphy's character Molly, who is a rich daughter of like musician parents who have passed away, and she's kind of like living off like inheritance and stuff, and she's like quite all over the place because again she's figuring out her life, and she ends up needing to get like a job as like a nanny for Dakota Fanning's character Ray. And it's about how these two girls kind of navigate having like no parents versus absent parents, and how they try to connect, and how you know, Dakota Fanning's character is kind of like an adult in a 9-year-old's body, and how Molly is trying to navigate her life in like all aspects, whether it's like her romantic relationships, her friendships, and how she realizes, you know, the way she's behaving is, you know, selfish, but she sometimes can't help it because she doesn't know any better, and she's trying to change and she's trying to improve, and how these two together work on that situation. I think that I've said this before, I'm pretty sure, that I think that this performance by Brittany Murphy is so fantastic and so layered, and it's so devastating to watch because you can see that this character is, you know, she's obviously so like whimsical when she's like walking around and stuff, but she's carrying so much with her that she doesn't know what to do with. And so when she acts out, it's like her way of just like letting it out. And when you watch it and you understand, you know, how she might be feeling, not in the same situation, but like you could try to gauge what's happening, it becomes like so devastating to watch. And I do think that this movie is actually an amazing like character study. It's a really human movie, and again, it's one I think that is based on finding connection and in very bizarre places, and seeing how that influences and aids these two characters. Number 3 is Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion from 1997. Now, this movie is unlike the other two, where this is a comedy. I would say like this movie is so much fun. The core of this movie, I would say, is female friendship, but I would also say the way that the concept of like peaking in high school and the concept of going back to high school and the people you go to high school with and all of that being explored is very interesting, and it's done in such a fun way that it's almost bizarre. So this movie stars Lisa Kudrow and Mira Sorvino. Pretty much they're like best friends from high school who live together and work together now that they're out of school. And when they go back for their 10-year high school reunion, they feel the need to pretty much like lie about their lives in order to like appear better than everyone else they went to school with. It becomes this thing like on a deeper level of like, what are you meant to be, I guess, 10 years out from school, and why are you trying to prove to people you went to school with that you're living this certain life, or that you've achieved this, or that this is what you do now, and all of that. Because like they get like, they're like girls who like to go out and they're like say that they've started like this business, and they're like borrow a new car and new clothes, and they're trying to be something that they're not, just to make a point. And of course, like in the world of comedy, this obviously leads to like hilarious moments and wonderful scenes in this movie. But again, on a deeper level, it makes you think like, again, why does it matter, or what, like who's it all for in the end? Like they're happy with their lives before they go to this reunion, and the way that, you know, things play out, it's like, again, what's the point if you just like enjoy yourself and enjoy your friends and your company and all that? Like, why do you have to prove or try to be something that you're not? And I think that this movie is so much fun. The outfits are so cool. There are random people in this cast that you go, hey, there, look who's there, and it's so fun. My pick from the 1980s is Beaches from 1988, which is a Gary Marshall film. It stars Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey, and it's the first movie I think to ever make me cry. I've seen this movie once in my life, and it was probably about 12 years ago, and I watched it with my mum, and I remember actively trying to hide the fact that I was crying. And since then, honestly, it's kind of put me off wanting to rewatch it just because I remember being like so sad about it. It pretty much covers a friendship between these two characters that meet as like young girls, and then they grow up together and they lead different lives. And honestly, my memory on it is a bit hazy again because I'm borderline scared to rewatch it, even though I should. I was actually rewatching the film The To-Do List the other day, and in that movie, that group of friends, the 3 girls, they keep talking about watching Beaches, and they're singing The Wind Beneath My Wings, which is from this movie, because Bette Midler sings it in it. And that got me thinking about this movie again because, yeah, that's my main association with it. Yeah, this is, again, a completely different movie to the ones that I've listed before, because this one I truly remember being very devastated by, and it's that really heartfelt drama movies with moving performances where, you know, you watch it and you know you're in for some tears and for some, you know, exploration of, like, again, how important it is to have a friend and all of these sorts of things. And I think something else that I remember enjoying and that I think about as well is that the fact that it starts from when the girls are young and you see them like grow up together and they go through like different milestones within the movie. It becomes one of those things where it's like kind of crazy to see and witness life happen like to your friends. And for me, I just find that whole concept really moving, to have like friends around, and how, I don't know, it's just like a beautiful thing within the movie to see how in their tough times, how they're there for each other and how like crucial that is as well. My final pick for this list of female friendship movies is from the 1970s, and it is the film Girlfriends from 1978. This movie, I've said it a few times, but I believe it would be a perfect film to pair with Frances Ha. It is about like two friends that again are living in New York City and navigating their lives. You've got the character of Susan, who is trying to, well, she is a photographer who's trying to be an artist like full-time in 1970s New York. She also has a best friend in this movie that is like her roommate, who then moves out to get married, which leaves Susan on her own. And within all that as well, Susan is trying to navigate her own love life and again her career and all of these things that are very relevant for people in their 20s and 30s. Like, time isn't real, but like the concepts in this film are quite timeless and ageless, and the fact that this film is nearly 50 years old and you could put it on now and it could be something that happened last week is like so important, and it's always relevant, and it's so cool to see as well, because I mean the setting of it and the situations and everything about it is really cool. And it's one that I think is underviewed and that more people should watch, because I feel like, especially again, a lot of women in their 20s would really relate to it and really enjoy watching this film. So these are the 5 female friendship movies that I have chosen for now, and if you haven't seen any of these, you should watch them. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.